So what I want to show you today actually is in this demo is how Red Hat is making software their lead magnet for lead generation. And let me first explain what that means. So Red Hat makes content on our platform that they can share within their communities, with their existing customers and with their potential customers. They create this content on our platform so they can demo their product and features. And that's actually what I'm going to show you today as well. So, for example, what Red Hat has done, they have created this small real-life scenario around Ansible Tower on the Instruqt platform. They create that content themselves and they push that over to the Instruqt platform. When they created that content on their platform, they can then share that content with their customers and potential customers. When the learner, in this case, goes to that specific scenario that they have created, they can actually start it, and that's specifically on our platform. Once they start the actual scenario, they will be faced with a few challenges that they have to complete in order to learn something about the technology. So what this means is that the learner doesn't need to install any software anymore on their local machine. And for a lot of products, the installation of software is quite easy. But if your software also requires you to for example, connect some existing infrastructure or connect it to the cloud, it could become quite complicated to install it yourself. And therefore, the entry barrier to trying out that software becomes much higher. On the Instruqt platform, the learner can start this scenario and they'll be presented with their own personal sandboxed environment based on real life technologies. Speaking of those technologies, that could be either Docker containers, virtual machines, or even entire cloud projects. And what that exactly means and how that works, I'll show you in a moment. So let's first take a look at some of the content here. We're going to learn a little bit about Ansible Tower. Ansible is a IT automation tool that's built by Red Hat. And we have a few challenges that we need to complete. Let's start with the first challenge. And that will actually take me to my personal sandbox. So this personal sandbox is created just for me. It has the Ansible Tower software installed on it, and I can interact with that right from my browser. So that means I do not need to install anything here. On the right-hand side of the screen, we see that we have a small assignment that we need to complete. And on the left-hand side, I'm faced with the Ansible Tower user interface. In this case, the challenge is quite simple. We're just going to start by logging into the Ansible Tower dashboard. And we can do that by logging in with the username admin, and the password is going to be password. Before I actually continue, these sandbox environments are entirely customizable by the content creator. So they can expose different user interfaces, but also terminals, code editors, you name it. There's a lot of flexibility in the platform, so you can really customize to your end user's needs. Let's sign in here. And that looks like we signed in successfully. Let's hit the check button, and that will actually validate if we took the correct steps or not. In this case, it's quite simple, so we're going to proceed to the next challenge. The next challenge builds on top of the first challenge, and it shows us a little bit of information about the technology concept that we're going to learn in this next challenge. As a content creator, you can present all kinds of information to the learner, such as videos. Let's hit start. to proceed with the second challenge. And here we see another, we see the tower dashboard again, but we have a different assignment on the right-hand side. On top, we also have some other tabs which we can interact with. If I click on one of those tabs, you can see that it presents me with an actual terminal. So this terminal is connected to the sandbox environment. And this means that I can install software here. I can make changes to files on this system. I could remove software, and I could potentially try to break stuff. And that's actually something we encourage because you really want people to gain hands-on experience by interacting with the software so they can learn something about it. If I'm stuck or I actually broke something, I could just start over and I'll get a fresh new sandbox. So for this challenge, we actually need to do a little bit more. So the assignment here states that we need to create an inventory called Instruqt. I see that there's a list of menu items on the left-hand side, and this one states inventories. So I'm kind of guessing that we need to be there. As you can see, there's no inventory called Instruqt yet. So let's go ahead and try to proceed to the next challenge. We hit the check button, and it's actually going to validate that there isn't an inventory created yet. So let's create this new inventory. I'm kind of in a different mood today. Let's give it a different name, like test, and hit save. So what happens now after I created this test inventory and I hit the check button? It will validate again. But this time I'm presented with a different message, like because it's saying there's no inventory with the name Instruqt. So we need to go ahead and fix that. Let's edit this one, name it Instruqt, and hit save. Also, while we're at it, we also need to add 2 hosts to the new inventory. We see that we have the Instruqt inventory here. We go to the host tab and we'll add these 2 hosts. That's the first one. Let's add the second. Let's validate that we actually did that correctly. I think I overwritten the first host, so let's add that as well. Yes, this looks good. We have both hosts in this inventory. Let's hit the check button again. And that successfully completed this challenge. In the following challenges, we'll build on top of this and learn how to use this Ansible Tower software. But I won't bore you with learning how to use Ansible Tower, but go back to the platform instead. So this is a nice way to get some hands-on experience with real-life situations and real software. In this case, this Ansible software was running on a virtual machine that was created by the Instruqt platform. But it could also be the case that you need to run some software that requires multiple virtual machines. And learners will be less likely to go and install that on themselves and facilitate those virtual machines. That's something the Instruqt platform does for you. And after I'm finished with learning this specific scenario, the Instruqt platform also cleans up this sandboxed environment. Of course, there are also a lot of other features available for content creators, like statistics to gain insights about your product and how people are doing, but also marketing tools to connect this to your lead generation systems. That's the demo for now, and let's go back to Barry.